I think we're live. Hopefully we're live. Yay. If we're not, then technology is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Hello there, Internet. Welcome once again to the International Writers' Fellowship on, I'm reliably informed, it is still the 1st of April. Unless it's changed in the past 10 minutes. No, apparently not.
Nope. No April Fools.
No. So you're not supposed to do April Fools after midday, are you? Is that right? Midday you're supposed to stop, and I never get out of bed till after midday, so I miss it every time. It's great. It's perfect.
I did not know that. I think that's a British thing.
Maybe. The best April Fools, years and years ago, was I got a text from my mum telling me that my sister was pregnant, and I didn't realize it was the 1st of April, so I just walked straight into it. I was like, but apparently she'd also sent a text to my sister saying that my wife was pregnant, and she fell for that as well. So it was a good day for her.
Messed up.
Yeah.
I think I was just thinking probably best one. We had an exchange program when I was in high school through Kansas State University, where we would host exchange students from Russia for 6 weeks. And then we would get to go there for 3 weeks. And so I got to go in... Okay, is my internet working or is it glitchy?
No, you're fine.
Mine's a bit glitchy.
Okay, just making sure. It's like we've been having issues. So anyway, I got to go mid to late March, early April of 2001. And we were on an overnight bus to Moscow. And then catching a flight the next day, I think. And on our bus ride, one of the people said, I left my passport at my host family's house.
Oh my God.
And all of our sponsors were like freaking out and trying to figure out, how are we going to get it? Do we need to turn around? And then someone said, probably wouldn't worry about it too much because it's April Fool's Day. It's like, oh, that was funny. It's funny now.
Yeah,
it wasn't so
20 years down the line, great.
Sorry, my shoulder is sticking.
Anybody? How was everybody's Easter then?
So as I was discussing off stream, we had people over and a big hunt in our backyard, and the kids couldn't find all the eggs. A big hunt in the backyard, big Easter egg hunt. And so once the kids couldn't find all the eggs, the grandparents went out there and started ranging around. So it was pretty funny. I asked my mom at the end of the day, was it fun getting to go Easter egg hunting again? Yeah.
Yay, I feel so good. Yay. Sorry, the smell is going to hit me.
I know. I kept count of all the eggs too, but people were also eating some of the hard-boiled eggs as we were finding them. So I don't know. There was counting and recounting and hunting. It was fun. Food, family, good times.
Good.
How about you all?
Ours is pretty good. My kid is, oh my God. My kid is the oldest kid.
Like in the family group?
I don't know how that happened, that my kid is the oldest kid now. That is hunting. It usually
works as if they're born before the people.
No, that's hunting. So of the cousins who are hunting.
Like some of them aged out.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Mine is the oldest. I don't know how I feel about that. But they had a good time. They had fun.
That's good. I miss Easter egg hunting. I liked hiding them yesterday. I was like, hee. I don't know.
See, I'm excited because my kid has braces, and so there's some candy that she can't eat that then I get.
That's pretty rare.
That her cousin was trying to take, and I was like, no, that's mine.
That's the mom tax.
Whereas I genuinely don't think I did anything for Easter. I can't even remember. No.
No one gave you a chocolate bunny or?
Nope. I just another weekend.
Wow.
Right. Shall we do cards quickly? Ooh.
Yeah. Go for it.
King of Pentacles. Let's bring him up here. He's
always a favorite of mine.
He's got
a cow and a dog, and some wine.
A cake?
I was going to say, is it a cake?
Cake, yeah. He's got his villa in the background. So
we assume it's his villa.
Well, yes. So you can have your cake and eat it too. Work hard, do good for others, and all will be well. This king is clearly successful, but also rooted in the earth. He knows that it is important to savor the good things in life, such as animal companions, wine, and chocolate cake. The King of Pentacles represents prosperity and abundance, but more than that, his strength comes from being strongly rooted in his own success and the success of those around him. The king can represent your financial situation, or he can indicate a strong male figure who is willing to help you achieve prosperity and security, whether on the job or at home. The kings are all strong male figures, but that doesn't mean that a king card can't represent a woman, although it is less common. If this card falls into place in the reading where it stands for you, it indicates that your focus is on success and money. This isn't a bad thing, but be careful not to let your desire for security or nice belongings sweep you away. If there is a king figure in your life, a husband, a father, a boss, are you taking full advantage of the gifts he is offering you? And is what he offers truly what you want? Well, there you go. King of Pentacles. So money and blokes.
Money, blokes,
Yeah.
and cake.
Money, blokes, and cake. Yes.
Hi, hello, Kraken. Happy belated Easter to you as well. I always see the King of Pentacles as just like enjoying earthly pleasures, like kind of hedonistic. Which I super enjoy. I identify less with like the male figure who represents said person. Although that is
I kept expecting, whilst I was reading that, I was expecting that part to just end. I was like, okay, you've made the point about the male person. Can we move on? No, that was just the rest of the. Okay.
I think usually the kings and queens all represent like people, typically. Is that how it works?
Depends on which book you're reading.
I guess so.
What's this about? Tentacles?
Oh my gosh.
Giant testicle monsters are tight.
There's something.
Yeah.
I'm so tired today. Like I have to go for a hike after this, and I'm like, I don't think.
But
wait, Erica,
sorry.
I was gonna say, I just gonna pop it over to Erica. You're making faces.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know, something Terry Cotman says or brings up is like the idea of living from a mindset of scarcity versus living from a mindset of abundance, or like having a lifestyle of scarcity versus abundance. And like I feel like in life right now, even though it's not perfect and ideal, like I feel like my family and I are living from a place of abundance, which is really weird, because that's not like how I grew up at all. Like I always had my needs met and everything, but it was never from a place of abundance at all. And then writing wise, I don't know. I feel like I am fortunate enough to have people around me that like I like that abundance. Like I feel that on a very real level with my writing of more the people that I have.
Is it us? Are we the people?
You are I mean, you guys are definitely this
Some of the
group
people.
is part of those people, but yeah, I have an abundance of people, and it's really, really cool.
That is really cool.
And not everyone can say that. Like,
No.
I'm very fortunate in that.
I feel like I'm a sneeze. What about you, Daniel?
Well, I was just saying, I'm worrying about money and stuff right now because I've just had to spend a lot of money because I'm going to San Diego in July. So, you know, which is going to be cool, but oh my God, it's not cheap. And it's, yeah. So all of a sudden I'm seeing things like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to buy that. No, I can't. No, I can't. So that's kind of, and life decisions need to be made fairly soon, and that's going to require financial considerations. So yeah, in terms of writing, I haven't been doing much, and that's largely because I've just kind of accepted that I can't be bothered right now. You know, it's just like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go and watch some television. I'm watching Shogun at the minute. Because I don't know, just can't be asked right here and now. So I'm kind of indulging that. Yeah, I could write, or I could have some chocolate cake.
Fair.
Yeah. And sometimes we need the chocolate cake.
If ever there's chocolate cake involved, that's when I need the chocolate cake. Whenever chocolate cake is an option. So it is.
Well, and as therapists, I think we don't chocolate cake enough. We talk a lot of chocolate cake to the people that come to see us, and I don't think we chocolate cake enough.
I need that tattooed on my forehead. We don't chocolate cake enough.
Is chocolate cake, the elusive self-care in this regard?
Yes.
Or kindness, or, oh, hey, nerd adventure therapy.
Oh, no, not you as well. Jeez.
But, I mean, so, like, my husband and I were talking today about, like, tattoos, and I have really started seeing my tattoo appointments as self-care, which is a interesting self-care, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I usually think about being stabbed as being caring.
Right. But like I'm designing, so I go back on Friday to do some more on my upper arm, and I need to email my artist today after we're done. But I'm like, it's been fun to put it all together, and like this has been really great self-care for me because it's getting my mind completely off of all of the bullshit of like normal everyday stuff, and this is just fun and for me, and it doesn't matter if anyone else likes it or thinks it's cool or gets it. It's mine and it's for me, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I also enjoy the physical sensation of getting tattooed, so I'm with you, but I'm weird. We have a new person in the chat.
Yes, we do.
Bolts Demik.
Yeah, see, Charlene and Ember get the whole tattoo thing. They get me.
I
And
don't.
it's, yeah.
I don't not get the tattoos. I just don't have tattoos, and
Yeah. And we still accept you.
Mhm. It's okay that you do not have a strong desire to put something on your body forever and ever.
Yeah.
You just did a panel like this yesterday. That's fun.
Well, hot damn.
And
Well,
yeah, I'm with Nerd Adventure Therapy. Like, it's like you are getting tattooed and you're just there in the present moment and you don't get to, like, I mean, for me, I'm not thinking about my to-do list, my grocery list, my, you know, I don't know, that weird thing someone said to me the other day. Like, it's just like, I'm just there getting tattooed.
Whereas, see, I suspect that as and when I ever get one, because I'm sure I'll be dragged at some point, there'll be some crazy American, no doubt. I suspect I'll have the same thought processes on the handful of times I went to go for acupuncture. Oh my god, there's a needle in me. There's a needle in me. Oh shit, shit, shit. There's a needle. It's in me. Oh my god, it's in me. Get it out of me. Oh my god, no needle.
It's more just like the bzz over your skin. It's not like, like, you know, it's pretty centralized.
But it's yeah, that's been my chocolate cake lately.
It's good.
That and finding inspiration stuff for stories and D&D characters and
Love it. Love it. Love it. It is just a scratch. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments.
Yeah.
I just have the funniest reaction when people say, "Did it hurt to get your tattoos? Or did it hurt to get your piercing?" And I'm just like, what do you think?
Well, you see, what I think is yes.
yes.
Therefore, I don't. But I've had so many injections and blood tests over the years that needles going into me is not a source of calm.
Fair.
That's fair.
So maybe a tattoo isn't for you. Maybe you shouldn't do that then.
Everybody does have their own pain tolerance, and they don't hurt very much for me, unless it was on my spine. On my spine hurt pretty bad. My elbow was really funny. It like did nervy stuff to me, and my fingers were like, but yeah, like this tattoo didn't hurt. Like, this tattoo barely hurt.
I had a friend who had a lightsaber tattooed onto her pinky, and apparently that hurt like a motherfucker because it was all in the bone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. Anytime you're hitting bone, it's definitely not as nice. Anyway, writers with tattoos. That's today's topic.
Lightsaber tattoo. Yeah. No, she had tons of tattoos. She had the Joker, Heath Ledger Joker turning in with kind of morphing into a cowboy. It was
It's radical. Yeah. My husband has like comic book panels, like Joker one side, Batman the other side, Bowser, Mario, Jason Voorhees. Like he's getting a whole like nerdy sleeve of goodness all up and down, and our tattoo artist is amazing.
You see, Kraken, that's kind of where my mind would go if I was getting anything done on a finger. It would, yeah.
I think it would have to be a red lightsaber then. Just doesn't seem very light side to have a, What genre do we all write? I would say mostly fantasy, although I dabble also in zombie comedy. Zombie comedy, family drama.
Zombie
with a touch of like Jerry. Yeah. But I'm also a writer for hire, so it's a whole different thing.
I didn't get the Jerry. What's that?
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer.
Family drama. Throwing chairs at each other. It must not have come your way.
It's okay.
It's okay. Just family fighting drama.
So families.
Yeah, dysfunctional families. So all families.
No, I was like, yeah, families.
And Kraken writes pirate high fantasy. A very specific type of high fantasy.
The best type of high fantasy.
How do we distinguish between high fantasy and just regular ass fantasy, by the way?
There is a.
Is there like a definition?
There is. So high fantasy is Lord of the Rings. Low fantasy / sword and sorcery is Conan the Barbarian.
I don't see that distinction. That doesn't make any sense. Oh god. I'm going for a wick. That is like okay, but like Conan the Barbarian is also pretty fantastical, and
okay. So masterclass.com says that there are 18 fantasy subgenres.
Oh, what? Wikipedia seems
so
to
there is
back that up. Hard fantasy
as soon as it catches up. So dystopian, high. So high fantasy is like Lord of the Rings. Low fantasy is set in the real world.
And by saying like Lord of
that has unexpected magical elements that surprise ordinary characters, like the Indian in the cupboard.
Harry Potter, I think technically would also maybe have like at least the first one.
Hold on. So then there's magical realism.
Oh,
similar to low fantasy, has characters that accept fantastical elements like levitation and telekinesis, like 100 Years of Solitude. But then there's sword and sorcery is a subset of high fantasy, which that's where Harry Potter is. And then there's urban fantasy, paranormal romance, dark fantasy, grim dark fantasy, fables, fairy tales, superhero fantasy, fantasy of manners, cross worlds fantasy, like Narnia and Alice in Wonderland, steampunk fantasy, Arthurian fantasy, sci-fi fantasy, wuxia fantasy. Wuxia, thank you. I was like, I'm going to butcher this word, and I did.
Wuxia fantasy. Chinese martial arts fantasy.
Yes, so there's the 18.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that kind of thing. You know, where you're so good at martial arts you can fly.
Sure. Okay.
Oh yes, spicy fantasy. That's the fan fiction fantasy that I write. Spicy fantasy.
See, I struggle with this because my fantasy story, I still don't get high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, meaning its own world with all its own stuff and elves singing and running around and magic and dragons.
So this says sometimes called epic fantasy. High fantasy is set in a magical environment that has its own rules and physical laws. This subgenre's plots and themes have a grand scale and typically center on a single well-developed hero or a band of heroes, such as Frodo Baggins and his cohorts in J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, or Bilbo Baggins and the Dwarves in The Hobbit. George R. R. Martin combines high fantasy with elements of medieval fantasy and romance in his Song of Ice and Fire series, Game of Thrones.
Okay. That makes more sense. Because I have trouble with categorizing myself because I wrote, I think, a high fantasy story, but it's also got romance and I don't know, adventure, and I don't
yeah, so
creepy horror elements, I guess. So
this series that I'm writing would be epic or high fantasy
as well, yeah. And you have romance in yours.
Yes, not until book 4.
And what about intimacy?
There, I think, will be. I think there are 2. There will be 2 intimate scenes.
Don't tell Charlene this because Charlene has just
Okay, so Yeah, I need to play with them a little bit. That sounded bad.
I was going to say, is that the whole scene? Is it or?
So one, I have them both written. One, I wrote an extended version because there is this
Sorry.
one's going in the book, and this one I needed to write for my own self. The other one is spicy. It might be a little bit too spicy for this. That one may end up needing to be the director's cut, and we need to like do some editing to make it not so this needs to go into a different section of the store.
Yeah,
but it was my first like go at writing heterosexual spicy stuff, which was very interesting.
I don't know where to go with that. Sorry, okay. Fair enough.
See, I struggle. That's actually cool. I helped a client stop drinking at night by reading spicy fantasy instead. Hey, whatever keeps you off the sauce. What was I gonna say? I struggle with my spicy scenes because I enjoy them. I enjoy writing them. I just don't know if they are appropriate. Not like, appropriate versus inappropriate in general, but appropriate for the story that I'm telling and the audience that I'm looking at courting. Because there's not gonna be like a central focus. Like I feel like a spicy romance book is like there's gonna be a lot of sex happening, pretty consistently. Whereas like there are a few scenes that get pretty like whoo, and I'm right now they just kind of fade away after some like but there's a part of me it's like it could be fun to just have those scenes in there anyway. But I don't, as an unpublished author, I find it sort of like hard to find that line, if that makes sense. I'm doing a lot of hand talking today.
Whereas I don't write that much sex because I'm just not good at writing sex. I'm good at writing things being chopped off, not things being put into other things.
Oh my god. I just, as you were starting to say I'm not good at, I was like, oh my god, where's this going? I'm sorry. I'm so tired today. My child has been sick for a week. I'm so tired. Okay.
See, whereas I'm the complete opposite. I will write a sex scene any day over having to write a battle.
Make war, not love.
Yeah, indeed. I happily will write people's heads getting chopped off left, right, and center. As soon as the doodah has to go into the what's it, I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. Keep it up, Jesus! Right? What? Oh my god, my ass is clenching just thinking about writing it. Let alone just ugh.
Oh my god, I love it. So,
see, I live from a place of abundance with my writing people.
Evidently. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing.
Write fantasy and fiction more than romance. I have finished several drafts of my fantasy novel, and I gave my mom a copy. And there aren't any like really explicit scenes, but there's some like heavy stuff that happens before things fade to black. And I had a moment when she'd finished reading it, and I was like, she read that scene. You read that scene? My mother read that scene. It's not good. I wrote those words, and then she saw that I wrote them. That's also a thing that I struggle with. These things get published and people read them, and they're just going to be like, I do.
I got really PO'd with because my mum has read maybe 2 of my pieces of writing, and one of them was kind of a fade to black scene, and she said, "Oh, so that's the kind of thing you like, is it?" It's like, excuse me, what? Oh, no, it isn't. The other thing you read was a battle with people's heads getting chopped off. Is that the kind of thing I like as well? Just
Yeah.
a judgment, as in if you're writing about sex, you're doing it because it's kinky and that's the kind of sex you want. Whereas if you're writing anything else, it's just fiction.
Right. Like my characters are all young, and I have a broadcast of differently gendered and oriented people who are all young and on an adventure together and freaked out, and like they're gonna make out with each other. Like that's just gonna happen. It's natural. Like what else are you gonna do when you've got to camp overnight in a deserted forest with 6 other people? I don't know.
My mom, she had asked if she could read my fan fiction, and I said, "You can. You can't say anything."
And you may never look me in the eye again, but yes.
Oh, that I don't care about. Like my mom was a family planning nurse for most of my childhood. Like I had the sex talk and the safe sex talk and all of that way before my peers. Like we've never had that issue, but I told her, I said, there's some stuff in here that you cannot say a word about. That's all. You can read it, but you cannot comment on it. And she said, okay.
We will not be discussing this once you have finished reading it.
And she read 1, and it was a fantasy story, I guess a high fantasy story, now that I know the difference between all of this, where they had multiple deities. And the one comment she said to me was, this god should be capitalized and singular. And I said, no, it shouldn't, because there's multiple deities. And that was the one and only thing she ever said about my fan fiction. I don't know if she ever read anymore, but
I love that she skips over all the raunchy stuff and she's like, you messed this thing up grammatically.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So what do you all think about having explicit scenes in a book that is not, labeled as spicy or explicit? I'll open that up to chat too. And also, it's about to go down. Bolts.
I think
love it.
Like that's why I'm thinking, like I don't know what the rules are.
What are the rules?
So, like as far as my series will be 18 and up, simply because of the battles and the content that's going to be in it. But for the most part, my 2 spicy scenes will be fade to black-ish. Like they are not going to be the smut that I read. Now I'm going to have a whole other series that's going to be the smut that I read.
There you go.
Yeah. Under a different name.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly for my job.
Says, it depends on where the book is being sold. We are prudes in the U.S.
Yes, we are.
We are so prudy. I mean, I could get into that, but we'll save that for another day. Because, 18 and up would make it new adult, right?
Yes.
And I'm still struggling.
That I don't see. And that's why I was saying, like, I don't know what the rules are, is like to where it's, but like, so yes, mine will be for 18 and up, for whatever that is.
I think that's new adult. I think that genre was created specifically to be like, this is for younger people, but like adult younger people, young adult people who aren't, because like YA before was like middle reader, high school, and I think that's still the classification. So new adult kind of branches that out to like older teens, early 20s, and makes that comfy. I might be a little bit off there, but that's my understanding of it. That said, I don't know still what the like line is. Like, I have F-bombs in my story. How many F-bombs can I throw out before it's people swear? There's fighting and killing happening. People are gonna swear.
Well, it depends really on what you want your story to be. I mean, do you want it to be R-rated? Because there's violence in Game of Thrones and violence in the 1960s Batman series. The two are not equivalent.
No.
And
Game of Thrones is like intensely violent.
And sexual assault.
Yeah, there's a lot in there that's, I mean, yeah. So I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna go that hardcore in that direction. Like that's
so yes. If I was giving it a rating, it would be R-rated. Mine would be for language and violence.
Ooh, can we do M for mature, like on Netflix? I'm running with my dragon.
Yeah, so like on AO3, it would probably be mature, not. Ugh. I think I would have to have. So the first 3 books would be mature, but then I think I would have to move it to explicit for the one scene. Because the one scene is important. Like the 2 scenes where there is sex, they are like important to the story.
Interesting. And what if, okay, hypothetically, you got this to a publisher and they were like, love it, but you have to take out the explicit scene?
I would find a way to rework it to where it wasn't explicit. It still has to happen though.
Got it. Right. So that's where I'm stuck, is like what's necessary and what's not necessary and what's just there because it's fun. And
okay, the first one has to happen. The second one is the second one's for funsies.
But you think you could,
for
like,
interesting funsies?
Interesting funsies is still worthwhile. Like that's part of why I have the scenes that I have, where at least like the lead up is interesting, because you seeing the dynamic between lovers is like
But again, I suppose the question is, what part of it is important? Is witnessing it happen important, or is it the fact that it happened important? If the fact that they bumped ugly is the important part, then you don't necessarily have to show it. You can just say, oh yeah, you're glowing today. Whereas if actually the scene itself will tell you something about the character which you couldn't necessarily learn otherwise.
See, that's where, at least like for me, lead up into these things is important, because as characters are falling in love with each other or falling in lust with each other, there's like other dynamics happening. Like I have one character who is an assault survivor, and there's like a lead up sexy scene where things happen and it triggers her, and you wouldn't really know that about her unless that happened, because she's been very like tight-lipped and kind of an unreliable narrator about that part of her life. So for me, like, yeah, it's important that these two like are in the bedroom together, are pulling off each other's clothes, are starting to, and then she has that moment of like, because it opens up a whole chat between these two people and deepens the relationship. So I'm like, it doesn't have to be explicit, but it does have to be there. So,
yeah. Whereas
like, I don't think the actual sex of it all would matter if it did like, I do have characters who just kind of like wander off screen. And it's like, they're gonna go do it. I don't know, Because again, they're also young, and I'm just like, I'm not writing My Little Pony. They're young adults. That's what young adults do. Some of them, I don't know.
But also, you know, it depends on the tone of the scene and the tone of the rest of the book. If the rest of the book is My Little Pony, then maybe not. And likewise, if the rest of the rest of the book is hardcore violence, every other word beginning with F, and then the sex scene is sunshine and rainbows, you know, is that appropriate to the book also?
That's an interesting point. You know, tonally, if you're doing a lot of like violence and swearing and dark things, and then, or like, you know, just adult themes, and then, you know, it's like fluffy clouds or whatever. It's like, that's an interesting point.
I mean, I'm thinking more in terms of the language used rather than...
Right.
Yeah, because nice things can happen in a world of evil. But it's just... if the way you write the scene is different to the way you've written the rest of the book, then it's not necessarily going to sit right.
Yeah, readers might be like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something. Yeah. My brain just went, blip. Sorry.
that is my brain.
That's like, I don't know. I think definitely having a lot, not a lot, but a really good number of like beta readers, and just like, how does this flow? So for mine, especially the first one, like it has to be there. And if it feels uncomfortable, okay, what would make it better? What would make it not be so uncomfortable? Is it too descriptive?
That's a fair point. And none of my beta readers thus far in the first couple versions of the book that I've written have said anything about the lead up and the closed door aspect of it. But especially since like spicy romance has become such a popular thing, this is part of what kicked my brain back into like, well, what if I did expand those scenes to kind of grab some of that interest, but then it also feels a little bit disingenuous.
Well, then, okay, so I just had this thought. If...
Oh my God, just had a thought. Everybody get down.
Shut up.
So mean, Dan.
If it didn't fit, then I could, make it, fit with the story, whatever. But then write fan fiction and about my own story and make a spicy, explicit fan fiction about my story.
That's delightful. I love it.
We
both had a question. Would you think viewing it as how much of the book is written in mature language, extreme details, and how you would place it in a specific category? Wait, my brain didn't take that in.
No, me neither. Sorry. What do you think?
Extreme detail, and how would you place it in a specific category? I mean, I guess talking about sex scenes, like if the rest of the book is explicit, where like you're chopping off people's heads and there's viscera and there's violent language, there's abuse, there's dark, scary stuff, and then you have a sex scene that's very like toned down. I mean, I think that's kind of what we were touching on earlier, as far as like if it goes from that level of description into a like very soft kind of like, would readers be thrown off by that? I mean, maybe. And both, you can correct me if I'm completely misinterpreting your question. I apologize. I'm sleep deprived. So
I read this ages ago, and this is grim dark. This is just, the main character is horrifyingly bad. You know, it's no, you know, there are no shades of grey here. He is just not a good person. And I can't get the damn thing back on the shelf. And the entire world is bleak. Horrible things get done to everybody. And so if you were to take all of that bleakness, all of the hard language, and then just turning it into purple prose from a Mills and Boons novel, you know, would not, you know, that is, I would not let a child read that book. And my brain just stopped halfway through that sentence. So
I was like, where's he going with this? And then you.
So no, I would not let a child read that book, and because of that, you wouldn't want, you know, and we're not just talking about a sex scene, for example. You're just talking about any specific kind of scene, dialogue, you know, a fight scene, any number of things. But it has to be tonally consistent, you know, throughout the book. Otherwise, it's going to look like somebody else wrote part of it and just jimmied it in.
That makes sense. Bolt said, writing for a specific category versus the language written to cover a few areas to sell. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you find this helpful. We, you know, are just exploring our own options and getting our own work together. So I'm glad that other people enjoy hearing us kick the can around. I will say, to finish my own like wonderings about my own story, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I was thinking about trying to get into this other category, but if I'm just writing a high fantasy novel that is for young adults, like new adults, not young adults, I guess, for new adults, for 18 and up, people our age and all that, then I guess I just have to write it the way it feels correct for me. Especially as I'm rewriting, because that's the thing, is I'm in the midst of rewriting things, and that's where I'm thinking about changing certain scenes or adding, or, you know, so I'm like, yeah, just do that first. And then if a publisher sees it and goes, you got to take the sex out, or weirdly, if they're like, more sex, then I could address that. I don't think I have standards, so I would probably change a lot to get published, but we'll see.
That's the way to be.
I'm precious about my story, but I'm also realistic. One of my favorite authors, Tamara Pierce, had written her first series, the Alana series, as one big book for grown-ups, and she took it to a publisher, and they were like, what if split into 4 YA novels? And she talked about like that process and how she had to, like, you know, change her expectations and tone some of it down. And there was still sex in those books, which as a middle reader, I was appreciative. It was, you know, it was fade to black. It was like off they went into a room, but I was still like, that's interesting.
So that's how babies are made.
Well, it felt like the books were meeting me where I was at my maturity level. You know, so I'm like 14 and I'm reading about an older teenager, young adult person going on adventures and falling in love. And I'm like, and they have sex and that's okay. I don't know. I talked a lot. Somebody else talk now.
And did you read it in that tone of voice? Please tell me.
Oh, you're a publisher, so you're learning from this. What?
You don't want to learn anything from us, chap. Seriously, just walk away now.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, my Kermit voice is I reserve for when I'm feeling a little bit goofy. So, I just talk like this. I'm sorry. Anyway,
well, and Ember, I think I'm with you. I think that I, for the most part, especially the first go through, like I write what feels right, and then if it feels like it needs expanded or edited, I'm like, I'm choosing my words very carefully right here. Then I'll do that. But yeah, like there, I know that there are some things with this novel, with this series specifically, that no matter what, like it's, oh gosh, there's one of our talks. I know it's been this year, but I can't remember when. That is just like, I'm not budging on. Like this is staying. Like I can reword it or rework it a little bit, but it's something that has to, like, that is staying.
Mm-hmm.
But and not just like the sex stuff, but other things too. Like there are just some parts of this series that are going to, I'm sure, going to be like that.
I feel the same way about my own. Like I just said, I'm not precious about things, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like there are aspects of this story that are important to me to share. You know, like my main character being an assault survivor. Like I actually had a beta reader say, "Is that necessary?" And I said, "Yes, it's necessary to me." You know,
Yeah.
it's important to me to share that perspective and have people read what that can feel like when you're in a situation and you get hella triggered and the person you're with is someone you really like, but you're, you know, I don't know. That's a just general example, but checking the chat now.
Well, and I think for readers who have experienced that, that can be really affirming for them.
Definitely. That's where like
And
the art of it comes in, right? Like you're an artist,
yeah.
You're sharing experience and you're connecting with other people.
And it could be like the difference. I mean, it could be someone picking up that book and is like, oh, this book is about me.
And it depends on, this is where your goals and motivations come in. You know, are you writing, well, there's the question, well, who are you writing it for? Are you writing it for yourself? Are you writing it for somebody else? You know, yes, who's your audience in terms of demographic, but also who's your audience in terms of who you're thinking of whilst you're writing. But because, you know, are you writing this as a piece of art, or are you writing this as a product to sell?
Yes.
You know? And
both.
No, by which I mean, of course, it's you're able to do both, but it's what are you writing the sex because sex sells, or are you writing the sex because the sex needs to be in the story, kind of thing? You know, there are some people who are just who will write. So romantasy is a big thing at the moment, so as Charlene keeps telling us, and therefore there are a lot of people jumping on that particular bandwagon because it's the big thing at the moment, and therefore, okay, I've never written spicy fantasy before, but I am now, kind of thing. So therefore, so the motivation for putting sex in your fantasy for that writer is different to putting sex in your fantasy because it's important to you. It's important to the story, kind of thing.
Fair enough. And I think I miscategorized my thoughts about it earlier, but like the proliferation of romantasy and people seeking out stories that have, you know, a lot of romance and explicit scenes made me feel like, oh, I'm actually more free to write these things than I thought, because I thought before, like, I probably don't need to, because I've written erotica, like I've written plenty of erotica, just all over the place. Sometimes just because a couple of characters are in a scene together and they can't pounce on each other, so I just write that scene and I go away. And just characters have chemistry. I don't control them. They're just, they live up here.
I mean, don't forget, we do very much live in a post 50 Shades world.
I know, it's so weird. It's like funny to still be questioning whether or not it's okay to put sex in a book, because like it's like asking if it's okay to post your butt on Instagram. Like, everyone does it. If you want to post your butt on Instagram, it's fine. Nobody's gonna get after you for it. I mean,
so what you're saying is your butt's on Instagram.
No, I don't. I have no desire to post my butt on Instagram, but it's like so commonplace now that if I did it, I feel like people wouldn't even care. Like it would just be like, oh, okay, there's her butt, you know. I don't. That's probably a bad analogy. I'm not. Don't go to my socials and look for my butt. It's not there.
Oh, fine.
I posted a picture with cleavage the other day, and I was like, ah!
I did spot that actually. Yeah, it was.
Yes, that was my
nice.
eyes were drawn right to us. Like, damn.
I hide them all the time. It's just, I'm still freaked out about it. But like, that's exactly that. Who cares? Like, that's just boobs.
See, in my
And very nice they are too, darling.
They are. I am writing Alana's story because I want to read it. I want to read it all in one place.
Yep.
That's not this binder of chicken scratch notes.
Yep. Same.
And and it has always been this thing for me of if other people enjoy it too, that's just icing on the cake for me.
Very true.
Now, anything else that's not that, I think it's going to be for me. But also it's like going to be to sell also. But this one, I mean, I'm going to sell it, but it's one primary purpose is for me.
I think that's probably the best reason to write anything. It's like,
and the thing that got me to writing fan fiction was the story that I wanted to read hadn't been told yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not me tell it?
100%.
I feel like you just summed up our conversation and put a nice little cherry on top of it.
Well,
write what makes you feel good. Write what you want to read.
Yes,
if you want to read smut, then write smut.
And then go back and reread it and feel like, damn, that was really hot. Done that a couple of times.
I've, even with the Fade to Black scenes that start out a little handsy, I'm just like, whoo, that happened.
Yeah, and I'll read the little author's notes. And one of them will say, so my friend who edits for me would say, this needed a fan warning, so you have been warned. And then I'll read it and be like, oh yeah, I remember writing that. Yeah, that was pretty good. And then there are other ones like, holy, how did I come up with that? What was I thinking? Like that was like really spicy.
I get like that with scenes that have like violence and brutality as well, or cruelty. Like one of my villains is just awful, and I'll reread it and I'm like, oh my god, like what dark evil venom was seeping out of me that day that I wrote that down on a piece of paper. Like, ugh.
I had one comment once, and someone that they asked me, "Are you okay?"
No, but like, really, are you? That's terrible. It's my art.
Because of one of the, I was like, yes, I'm fine.
That's how you know you did it right.
Thank you for asking.
Eliciting that response does seem like a win.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Well,
I'd
get that result if somebody read something cute and lovey-dovey that I'd written. They'd go, "Everything okay, Daniel?" There aren't as many split skulls as usual. Do you anything you want to talk about? What's going?
Just don't seem yourself. Well, I'm actually inspired to go write, which is nice. Will I do it? That remains to be seen. But I'm inspired.
Inspiration is a good thing.
Tis indeed.
I have lots of reference pictures. I printed off like these are all of my reference pictures that I printed off.
Yeah. Well, Bolt said, if you are going to write to publish, always look at the market for your genre and find your place.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, Bolt. Sorry.
I missed it too. I don't know how I missed it, but I missed it.
Yep, that is. Oops, sugar. Yep, that is absolutely.
Ocelot!
Ocelot, you exist!
You're back!
What? Huh?
We were just wrapping up, and here you are.
Hi, where have you been? We have literally been talking about you every week. Where, what?
Yeah, we speak your name into the ether and wonder about you.
And I'm always down for panels. Like,
yeah,
panels are fun.
Erica, Charlene, and I were on a panel last week. I'm going to be on one next Saturday. Erica and I are doing one in a couple of weeks. It's going to be.
Oh yeah, yes we are.
We're just so yes, we've got.
I'm a graphic designer for hire, so I don't really do panels, but I am on Twitch, so
well, you're
not
on
my butt. My butt is not on Twitch.
Your butt is not on Twitch. Your cleavage might be, but not your butt.
No, my cleavage has a mind of its own. It's just part of my life, but I'm not putting my butt on the internet at this tender age. I'm too old. I'm not doing it. Let the children put their butts on the internet. It's fine. Started yesterday. We create a book on the spot. The viewers tell us the topic, and we create what.
I like that.
I would like to. That seems like a lot of work for a pan. Do you just create the idea or the outline or the? I'm gonna have to see how this works.
Yeah, because I'm not writing a book every week.
If I could, I would. If I had that capability.
The two of you can, but I.
Oh, it's on YouTube. All right. Well, hey, drop the deets. We'll go check it out.
Absolutely.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I've got to get going. It's 2:00, and I'm expected to go out in nature and hike now. Which.
Yay!
I'm tired. I ate a bunch of food yesterday. Partied and didn't sleep well. And I have to go hike in my beautiful countryside.
Oh, did I? Oh, no, I think I did tell you about that. That animated tarot deck. Did I?
I think so.
I went to buy it because I was weak, and do you know how much it costs, including shipping?
Wasn't it like 100 and something pounds?
$235.
US dollars?
US dollars. So 2 words. The second one's off.
Bugger? You're right, Ocelot. Once I'm out in nature, I'll be like, ooh, that's a good spot to think of a fight scene. That's a good spot where someone would encounter a god. That's a good spot for a thing. So
for the lay people amongst us, what does that mean? Oh,
laughing my butt off.
Yeah. So, actually, thank you, Ocelot, for doing that because you forced us to go back on track, even though it's finished. It's International Poetry Month or National Poetry Month. We were going to do something poetry related, were we not?
I will get something going for us next week. I'm going to make a jam board for next week. We're going to party on a jam board. We're going to jam with the jam board. Jam. Yeah. That picture of myself as the Godfather that I posted on Facebook was the Jamboard Jamboree, where I taught everybody how to use Jamboard. So get ready. Oh, my shoulder hurts.
Because I've written precisely 2 poems since I left school.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Daniel likes violence, and so do you.
No, 3 then actually, because I wrote one for my son to when he was in reception, or they had to take a poem in to tell to their class, and so I wrote one for him based on real events. Daddy drives the car to school because he thinks it's Monday, but then we have to go back home because it's really Sunday.
Oh, and Bolts has a book of poetry out. Look at you. You're just like doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found us. Now you're
Yes,
stuck
right.
with us. How are different poetry styles? Ocelot, I think you're gonna find mine to be very like nascent emo kid. So we'll have to.
I would love to write a really long epic poem like Idylls of the King or something like that, but that's might be a bit optimistic.
I think you could do it. I mean, if you put your mind to it.
Oh yeah.
Just you've been performing poetry recently, trying to improve your confidence. That's really radical. When I was in theater in high school, we had some people join drama specifically because they wanted to learn confidence in public speaking. And they were people who were like, I hate public speaking. I don't like being on stage, but I'm here so I can get better at it. And I was like, look at you guys go. I'm here because I'm a ham. Like,
oh wow.
PTSD, anxiety, depression, and others. Okay, I feel more seen now because my poetry tends to go that direction.
And Bolts, just so you know, Erica and I are both therapists, so we both went, ooh, writing about
That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay.
Exactly.
But we were saying that Amber, you need to go and pick up little people. So.
Oh no, not pick up little people. They're home today because it's the day after Easter, and I think that probably the schools did not want our sugar hungover children. So.
Oh, and I'm so sorry, Bolts. You gave us a link a little while ago, didn't we? Sorry. Yes.
I grabbed the linky link. All right. Well, yeah. I think next Monday we'll pick up the sugar. Truly, he had jelly beans for breakfast yesterday. Like I was really laissez-faire. I was like, that's what Jesus would want for breakfast. Why else would he die for our sins if not for jelly beans for breakfast?
You've got to die of something. It might as well be jelly beans.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, if we meet this Friday, I could do the Jamboard sooner, but we should pick up with this on Monday, and yeah, hope everybody joins us and brings poetry, and we can like snap and wear berets and get all super into it.
Yeah. Well, Ocelot, Charlene, Kraken, you won't be here next Monday.
That's your Monday that you can't be here.
No, right, because we didn't have school today, so because it's usually the first Monday.
Oh, right.
So we didn't have school, so it'll be next Monday.
Got it. All right.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We covered a lot. We covered a lot today.
We did, and especially given that we didn't necessarily have a topic of conversation.
Yeah, what we're talking about today. We'll be fine.
We'll just wing it.
And when
we did it
gone long for us.
And we had a really lively group today. So thanks everybody for joining us, and I hope to see you again, perhaps Friday, if not Monday. Erica will not be gracing us because it's just that Monday, but maybe we'll have a Jen, and you'll have a wild Ember and a wild Dan. So.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's going to be live streamed or not, but on Saturday I am going to be having a chat with Third Floor Wars, which is an RPG YouTube channel where they do actual plays and they want to talk about RPG therapy. So,
do we have like a social account where we post all this information, or is Twitch it?
Jen was in charge of all of that, and Jen hasn't been around for a good little while, so you'll have to ask her.
That's fair. We might re-rack that because it'd be nice to help keep everybody on the same page and I don't know, connect with our friends. But we all have our own little spots, and I tend to talk about what we're doing at Robots and Magic. So you can find me on Instagram, other places. Instagram. What else exists? TikTok, Facebook at Robots and Magic. And I just started my new business account, Diana Gray Creative Services. So check that out. That's my real name. Ember's my pen name. But yeah, if you follow Robots and Magic, I'll talk about what we're doing. Everybody else?
Erica? Erica, you can find Erica RPG Play Therapy.
Yes, sorry. I'm like really spacing out right now. Yes, RPG play therapy, or yeah, that's probably the best place for me.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we have a little bit up on Twitch right now, and yeah, if you find us individually, that helps. But maybe we should get a Discord or something going because our merry band is growing. And Dan, what about you?
Well, you can find me on the RPG Therapist on YouTube or monomythcounseling.co.uk, or you can find my book, Role Playing Games in Psychotherapy, A Practitioner's Guide, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever you get your reading material. So,
Okay.
But also you can find Doctor Who Psychology, The Handmaid's Tale Psychology, in which I write a chapter about the psychology of religion. And it was fascinating as topics go.
I
And
would love to read that.
The editor turned around and said that I had changed her mind about religion. That's not what I set out to do, but she understood the situation differently. So I was like, oh, cool.
Look at
I've
you
changed
go.
somebody's life.
Neat. Oh, and Bolt has a Writers Guild Discord. Hey, drop us the linkies. We'll check it out. Because yeah, it's nice to connect with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us.
Yes. We'll give Bolts a moment to quickly put the Discord in the Discord link before we hang up.
Yep. And I have to make a note, rebranding Robots and Magic. So this from now on is going to be my personal blog and writing.
Oh, really? Oh, so you are just going to go Diana Gray.
Diana Gray Creative Services. Yeah, people don't understand what Robots and Magic means. It's a little too niche. So I'm keeping it for my own personal brand. So that's why there will be more stuff about the writers group and what we're doing and that kind of coming through on my accounts. Thank you for the link.
Yes, there you go, Bolts. Thank you.
But I might look into talking to Jen about getting some other official stuff set up because, again, people are hanging out with us and I like that. We want to keep them around.
Yes, we can.
We can. I have to go hike now.
So we will hopefully be here on Friday. Not necessarily guaranteed, but one way or another, some of us will be here next Monday. So please do join us at 9 p.m. British time, 4 p.m. Eastern, and is it 1 p.m.
You
Pacific?
did it! 1 p.m. Pacific.
I knew all of that last week. It's just our clocks changed yesterday, so I'm like, am I still?
Right.
So I'm just trying to remember.
Dumbass clock changes. How could? I'm not getting into it today. I have to go.
Thank you for
Lovely
joining us,
chatting.
everybody. See you soon.